Beauty is the ancient world thought of beauty as the thing that distracts us from our ego preoccupation.
Mm.
It entices us
Outside
out
of
of ourselves
ourselves. Ah,
so that something other than our own mind, our suffering, our anxieties
yeah.
gets our attention. And we
Mm.
enter into this blissful self forgetfulness
Mm-hmm.
because something else is real to us.
Mm.
And so the idea here is that it's a threshold into the divine way of seeing, which is
Mm-hmm.
our capacity for seeing, to participate in this charming zeal for what is,
Mm.
and that you fall in love with it. and
Mm.
and it's not that we, in our specific needs and wants and distortions, cease to exist, but that fades into the background a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and the world becomes real to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is really helping me with this idea of beauty because, of course, the word beauty itself has become somewhat distorted. I think you liken it to sort of we've assigned it to the aesthetic, the aesthetically pleasing, rather than a depth. So it doesn't have to be like the world's version of pretty or what culture has said is beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
That the beauty is a depth, um, and if you could say just a little bit about this because it's something that comes up in this first week of worship. It We see it not with the eyes but with the
Mm-hmm.
spirit. Tell us a little bit more about how we see something with the spirit.
I had a student do his term project, and he said, when I started this class, this is what I thought beauty was. And he said he Googled beauty, and what comes up is a page of very skinny models.
Right.
And so beauty is this commercialized, fetishized, very narrow idea of what is beautiful and therefore what is not beautiful.
Right.
Um, and it but but beauty isn't a function of prettiness or what you buy or what you possess. It's the exact opposite.
Hmm.
And therefore it's not just a visual or auditory thing, although those of course are entryways into beauty. To experience beauty is really a spiritual,
Hmm.
it's a function of our spirit, and therefore we are capable, as our spirit kind of gets dull or distorted, to completely fail to see beauty,
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
to experience beauty. So we might want to buy a fancy picture or something, but that's not experiencing beauty.
Hmm.
So our spirit can get dulled down and inert to beauty.
Mm-hmm.
But likewise, our spirit can come alive and come alive to the truth of things.
Yeah.
And so there, once that practice begins to deepen and take hold, everything around us, we realize that dimension of created wonderfulness.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's you might say, pretty thing like the view that's in the background here,
Mm-hmm.
or whether it's a person you're visiting in hospice
Mm.
who is not physically pretty, but that dignity and that sacred worth and the beauty of the fact that they exist, that they have spirit, that they're beloved,
Mm-hmm.
that you begin to recognize.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a movie that you mention in your book that I watched because if you recommend a movie, I'm going to watch it. And it's called Wasteland. And in that, you mentioned that you often assigned this movie to your undergraduate students, I think is what you said, when you sort of to get into this idea of what is beautiful. And it's stunning, and I want to recommend it to everyone. You can rent it fairly inexpensively, and um, the story of people who work in Brazil, in Rio, at the dump, at the landfill, and they are recyclers, and they do a very important task, but they are seen They were seen by society as just like, this is the lowest job you can do. This is what you do at the end of the road. Um, and this artist goes in and creates these beautiful works of art with them, of them. And I'm going to tear up just thinking about it. The moment when they see themselves in a new way, and this work of art is made of the very trash that they recycle. When they see themselves, it is absolutely stunning, that moment of discovering and uncovering. Is that the
Yes.
awakening of the spirit that you're talking about?
Yes, you just gave me goosebumps remembering this film.
Right?
It is, my students would come in and they're like, yeah, movie star, sunsets, and
Mm-hmm.
we would watch that film. And everything changed after
Yeah.
that. Because um, you see the beauty that has already always been in them.
Yeah.
They're these trash pickers, and they're in the largest
Mm-hmm.
uh, landfill in the world, picking through it for something that could be recyclable,
Mm-hmm.
and they get paid by the pound of whatever they dig out of the trash, and they smell bad. They do have the meanest job one can imagine, almost. um, but um, but they have this dignity about them, and they're beautiful beings.
Yes.
And what he does isn't create beauty. What he does is he uses his art to reveal their beauty,
Yes.
and to and as you say, the young man who's sort of, in a sense, a leader, when he's at the exhibit and he sees these amazing works of art, he starts weeping.
Yeah.
And it changes their lives.
It does.
It goes and sees and how the different people respond to this.
Right. Right.
And yeah, that's the seeing. It's, you can look with your eyes at trash pickers and not see a lot of beauty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he lets us see what is true all the time.
Yeah.
And so that is something, not with your eyes, it's with your heart, it's with your spirit.
Yeah.